The evolution of digital identity, how invisible payments are transforming authentication. The password era is over. In a world where real-time commerce is accelerating, the future of authentication is no longer about remembering passwords. It's about being recognized. Chris Palumbo, Chief Risk Officer at Citadel Credit Union, boldly states, "Passwords are dinosaurs. They just don't know it yet." This statement captures the truth behind the frustration people experience when trying to transact in a world built on 6-digit codes, one-time passwords, and endless verification loops. The password, once the foundation of digital security, has become the very thing that slows commerce down. Every new credential or authentication step was designed to protect the user, but each has instead created fatigue, friction, and frustration. Invisible payments and trust. Invisible payments, the industry's next great ambition, will never truly be invisible until authentication disappears into the background. This means building a model of trust that does not depend on memory or repetition but on recognition. It means embedding identity directly into the transaction itself, where it can work quietly and continuously to protect consumers, merchants, and banks alike. The PYMNTS conversation among Palumbo, Tom Poole from Capital One, and Roger Desai from Prove explored what comes after passwords and how a more durable and dynamic identity layer can make authentication effortless without sacrificing security. Invisible payments depend on invisible trust, Payments CEO Karen Webster said. Trust has to be built in, not bolted on. The shift from memory to presence. Capital One's AirKey technology illustrates what the next stage of authentication looks like. It transforms the payment card into a cryptographic cornerstone of trust. When that card interacts with the customer's phone, the two create dual presence, a secure pairing that allows the bank to verify both card and device in a single moment. Everybody has a card, Poole said. We asked ourselves what else it could do. If the card can become the anchor of identity, then authentication happens inside the transaction instead of around it. Once the card and phone are linked, the relationship carries forward. The consumer doesn't have to re-establish trust each time they transact. Instead, that trust persists. The friction vanishes. The protection stays. The anatomy of invisible trust. An embedded model of authentication changes the balance of security and convenience. Consumers no longer bear the weight of proving who they are. Merchants see fewer abandoned transactions and fewer false declines. Banks can gain a more reliable signal of trust, allowing them to approve more payments in real time. AirKey allows us to say yes more often, Poole explained. With a single tap of the card to the phone, it takes those moments when life is interrupted by authentication and replaces them with continuity. The customer just goes on with their day. The future of embedded identity. As agentic commerce, connected devices, and real-time payments expand, authentication will need to evolve from something transactional into something ambient. Trust will no longer appear as a separate checkpoint, but as a property of the system itself. Standards will make that possible, ensuring interoperability and consumer confidence as identity moves invisibly across platforms and institutions. Desai sees this future as a continuation of what younger consumers already experience. Their phones and cards are one object. Their devices already verify them in the background. They expect payments to feel as natural as unlocking a screen. Passwords cannot survive in that environment, Desai said. They belong to an era when identity was static and transactions were occasional. The world has moved on. Invisible payments will depend on invisible authentication, and invisible authentication will depend on an identity layer that is alive, portable, and built into every transaction. The password age is ending, not with a sudden collapse but with a quiet replacement. A shift from remembering to being recognized. When that happens, trust will no longer feel like work. It will simply feel like part of how commerce now happens.